We're always ready to defend our identity and our character. We're always ready. This is why we're scanning. I call it scanning. We're always scanning for a problem. We're scanning to see who's looking at me, who's watching me, who doesn't like me, you know, all the things that I just named previously. We scan. We're paying attention. We're waiting for it to happen. We don't want to be caught off guard. We want to be ready so that we can defend who we are as soon as something raises its head. And if we don't verbally defend something, then internally we do by what? We defend it by becoming a victim. That's another survival program. If we can't vocalize, then instead we internalize it somehow, save ourselves by becoming a victim. And when we become a victim, we save ourselves from what? From having to really be responsible for any of it or to interpret it any other way. We save ourselves because when we're a victim, it's something or someone else has imposed something on me. Something else out there has imposed on me. So this is survival. Victimization is a survival construct or program. And you might say, yeah, but there are times when people do things to other people, physical things happen to other people. And, you know, then we have to look at, you know, the trail of, you know, that person's inner world as to why that person's story ended up involving this particular experience. And you say that about a baby, we have to remember a baby is a being. A baby is a being first and foremost, before the idea of being a baby human. It's a being that is embodying that vessel. We don't know what the story is that being is coming with. We don't know what the agenda is for that being. We don't know what the journey and the experiences are, but we know that we show up in an environment that is going to support the story of our journey, our base story, our base journey story. And we show up in conditions that will provide us with the platform for the rest of the journey, for what we're going to do, what we're going to encounter, who we're going to encounter. And it's a whole process now. And this is why I'm saying this about survival, is because I want you to be able to begin to look at this from that standpoint, from the much bigger picture, and realize this whole idea of survival, what it really does entail, which is why the hamster wheel. Okay, so is my appearance acceptable? Do I appear to be successful or a winner? And again, these are some of the things that are automatic. You don't necessarily think it consciously, but you do want to be a winner. Why? Because we're programmed to be winners, meaning you know, the different levels of the game, especially in the Western world. And if in the Western world, once again, the game is played differently. It's played a certain way, and in what they define as a civilized world, the games are all very kind of similar. And in the world that we consider uncivilized, they have their own their own games as well, survival and competition, whatever that may be. And even though we may look at that tribe, the Pitahas, I think they're called, tribe in the rainforest, they don't function as we do. They don't work very much. They just hang out basically all day, and the things that are important to us are completely irrelevant and unimportant to them. They don't believe in a God. They are happy all the time. They don't have any language for numbers. They don't count. It's a little or a lot. They measure that way. They operate, very different. But I am sure in their own way, they have their own survival programs. There are things that their boundaries that they have as well, and maybe they just stay in that space and maybe not step really outside of that. They live in that one set space. So this game, once again, is very interesting as to how it can one can be caught in a space of behavior that can still limit you. You don't realize that you're not being expansive because it is so kind of tricky. You don't realize that you're just not being that expansive. So it's very interesting, not good or bad, once again, as I'm always having to say, but just an observation as to how interesting that is. And that is their journey. That's the Peter Hall's journey. That's what they do. Until maybe that shifts into something else. But I think it's very interesting. I think there's so much that we can take from how they live, though. I think there's a tremendous amount that we can take from how they live. The things that we consider to be so important to us and completely insignificant to them. Okay. So anyway, embedded in those codes are, which is the constant strategizing and all of this, embedded in those codes are find your tribe. So embedded in all of this, the next thing you got to do is find your tribe. Find your tribe or buddy up. Gotta get a best friend. Who thinks about it like that? Well, I do. I start thinking about all of it. I'm like, good Lord, I could just go sit down and just sit in a corner. If I really just go with my mind in terms of looking at all of this, oh my goodness. But it's true. You got to find your tribe, find that group that you belong to, because you're to function that way, or buddy up, or you get a best friend or two. Then the next thing is do the right thing. Gotta do the right thing, whatever the hell that is. Whatever the game says is the right thing, that's what you're supposed to do. Behave the right way. Don't become ostracized. Whatever you do, do not become ostracized. So people fear that. Be a functional and contributing member of society. Really important. So really important. What makes it even funnier is because while we're doing this, we don't realize that we're doing it, because again, it's so normal. It's normal. And I know there's some people who, maybe not the people in this workshop, but people who would hear me and go, and I've seen that look and go, yes, but Sonia, if we don't do those things, our society would get completely out of control. So they get very intellectual on me. Okay, and I get that. I get what you're saying. But people are out of control because of all the control. People, that's what happens. Nobody knows how to regulate themselves on their own, because everything is so orchestrated and so fed to them and so controlled, and so ensuring that they don't become unraveled, that human beings naturally want to be who they are. That part keeps trying to burst out. And the more we cover it up, the more we suppress it. For some people, it becomes harder, and then they short circuit, and then they do what we call go crazy. They do crazy stuff. They just, you know, they break the program. It's like, oh, who dropped the program and broke it? Somebody dropped the program and broke it. Anyway, so that's what happens when we see people. It's crazy. They dropped their program and it broke. And now they like don't know what to do, and they're completely just like, you know, operating completely outside of the structure of do not kill, do not do this, do not do that, and we can't figure out what happened.